Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Stone by Stone. I am your host, Andrew Swanson, and I am very, very pleased to be joined here by a veritable Chicago legend, John Carruthers. John, welcome to the show. Thank you for being here.
Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. So we've sort of gotten to know each other over the years through many different facets of life here in Chicago, and there's a lot of those Venn diagrams of culture around the city. Many people know you through your work with, one of our most cherished items here in town, the tavern style pizza, through Crust Fun Pizza, and we will be getting into a lot of that. But if it's okay with you, I'd like to just sort of start with helping our listeners learn a little bit more about you.
Sure. What do you want to know?
Okay, so you grew up in Chicago.
No, I grew up in McHenry County.
Okay, actually, this is over. Yeah, this isn't going to work at all. No, I'm kidding. So tell me about growing up in McHenry County. Well, what town did you grow up in?
Yeah, so I guess to take it back, my grandfather grew up in Chicago, Polish Triangle.
Mm-hmm.
He hated sleeping on a couch until he was 18, so he got in the Air Force, left. His brothers stayed. His mean old Polish mom stayed, and they went to State Stanislaus, which is where I used to play softball, the part of 90 that kind of jogs around the park where the congressman just happened to go to church.
Yeah.
But anyway, he hated the city.
One of those interesting features we have here.
Right, like I just got to go like that here.
This church, seriously.
Yeah. Yeah, with their big "please don't use the bathroom here for softball" sign.
Yeah, of course. Very, very
Anyhow, so he moved out to Elk Grove Village and would commute back into the city for the bank he worked at. My mom went down to SIU because she was interested in furthering her education and in drinking.
Yeah.
So she met my dad, who was a hillbilly from the Shawnee National Forest part of Illinois.
Yeah.
And then she wanted to move closer to family. He got a job with the city of Crystal Lake. I grew up in McHenry, went to high school in Woodstock, and we would visit my uncle Bob, who operated the Brandt Funeral Home on Fullerton.
Okay.
We used to come in, go to Polish Mass every once in a while. But the fun fact about Uncle Bob is he was the alderman before Dick Mell became the alderman. So he was like...
What's the cross street on Fullerton we're talking about?
It was here? Fullerton between... if you go, the building still has Brandt Funeral Home on it. I want to say it's Fullerton familiar. Between... This isn't very specific, but it's between Pulaski and Cicero.
Yeah. I know exactly what you're talking about. Yeah.
But yeah, so Uncle Bob, alderman before he was the ward committeeman, he was a mortician because it used to be a little more common to be like the gravedigger alderman.
Yeah.
And just exuberant alcoholic, right?
Right, yeah.
So my grandfather, who wanted no part of the family business, no part of politics or anything, he was an appraiser, the VP of appraising for a bank downtown. He was also a licensed mortician. I didn't find this out until he died. He was a licensed mortician every day of his life in case Uncle Bob went on one.
Yeah.
And it never happened, but he kept up his certification.
You always need to know the family secrets just so you can make sure none of the businesses go under.
Yeah, so Chicago background, extremely far, that's got to be the edge of what you'd consider Chicagoland, right? McHenry County.
Sure.
Like, I could still see cows from our front door,
Yeah.
Not all, now it's all suburbanized like everything else. But back then, there were cows you could occasionally see, from the front door.
You remember before the sprawl came.
Yeah. I went to Marion Central in Woodstock, and then I wanted to get out of the whole area for college. I went to the University of Tennessee because I have a lot of family in Nashville and Knoxville. We spent our summers in Tennessee basically every day.
Know that?
Every year growing up. So did that, moved to Hawaii for my first journalism job. Moved back to Chicago for my second journalism job and have stayed here ever since.
Okay, couple curveballs in there. I'm going to take a quick rewind too. So I actually grew up in Nashville for a while, so I know Nashville pretty well. I love Nashville.
So they're all West End. They're paper millionaires now, but they don't want to move.
Oh, wow. Yeah, absolutely. West End. I know it well. I grew up on Cherokee Road, right by Montgomery Bell Academy.
Yeah, I got a lot of Montgomery Bell alums in the family.
I bet you do. West End. How could you not?
It was that, and then I think one ended up going to Father Ryan because he got kicked out, or...
Oh, yeah, of course. Like everybody at Father Ryan. Father Ryan, suck it. Anyway,
people are eating this up, I'm sure.
I bet, man. Chicago's
here.
Yeah, we're gonna really lose folks in town here soon. Also, but alternatively, my mom grew up in Hawaii.
Oh, really? Where?
Yeah, in Maui.
Oh, nice. I
Yeah.
was across in Molokai,
Okay.
which is like if you made Hawaii, but you wanted it to be like an old West town kind of set.
Sweet. Yeah, absolutely. I went to one place there that was like up in the mountains in Maui, and it did feel very much like there's just horses wandering around here. That's pretty neat.
Mules. I had chickens in the yard.
Yeah.
They weren't my chickens, but they weren't nice anyway.
Yeah. So when you got back to Chicago, your focus was in journalism primarily, right? How did you get started in that, and what was that first sort of experience in town as like living here finally?
Yeah, it was great. Well, it was great the living here part. I was reverse commuting to my journalism job in Schaumburg for 7 years. For 2 of those, I was in grad school, so I would get up early, be in Schaumburg before it was daylight, and then get back and try to make it to class at DePaul by, I think it was 6 o'clock, and would do like 6 to 9 o'clock class. Then we would go drinking because we were young kids, and then I would get up and get to do it all over again.
Yeah. So like fun for half of it. Yeah.
Driving a stick shift with no air conditioning on the Kennedy, every single. This is before hybrid work, less fun. But,
Yeah. What kind of car was that?
It was a Nissan Sentra. The tires were the size of this mic guard.
Yeah. Like every one of them sort of looked like the one that's in the trunk.
Yeah.
I know what you mean. Yeah. So what was your first job after that? After the 7 years you spent out there, where did the next role come in journalism?
Funny you ask. I switched to content marketing, which is just journalism with different ethics. And I worked for a guy you might have heard of, Joe Mansueto, at Morningstar. I was on the content team. I sat like 5 or 6 rows from him because there's no offices there. It's a very like designed to be like flat and not hierarchical and what have you. I bet he was still making more than me, but he sat at a desk, the short sleeve button up shirt, just like you see him in now. Perfectly nice guy.
Yeah, lovely dude. I worked for Joe Mansueto myself at the Fire for a little while, and he's just truly one of the most soft-spoken, lovely, unassuming billionaires you ever saw in your life. He's a really, really nice guy.
Yeah, he's the only one who's pulled his head out of it long enough to say, like, hey, I got a lot of money. How about I build a stadium with my money?
Yeah, exactly. Isn't that amazing? It's incredible. It's like, I have a lot of money, but I'd still like a ton of yours. We don't like that as much as citizens. We're sort of like, I don't get it. You have a lot, but you also need mine. I'm not totally on board for that. But yeah, he's done a good job. He's done a good job in that department for sure. Are you excited about the stadium?
I am wildly excited about the stadium because that's a great area for accessibility.
Yeah.
It's not developed, but it's not far from the kind of things that make a stadium experience a little richer. And public transit friendly. Like, yeah, let's go.
Yeah, I'm excited for the like river accessibility. Like I'm imagining a world in which I'm like pulling up to a game in a boat that like someone drops me off and then they leave.
I have seen so many renderings of things that assume that like the water taxi is like the missing L line, and I'm like, I think the urban planners just like the architects and the planning companies, they just like to do this because it looks cool. Like, where else are you getting a splash of yellow that's kind of diegetic in the rendering? Like, they just got back to regular service this year from the pandemic. Like, yeah. I'll believe it when I see it, but yes, I would love to.
Wouldn't it be nice though? Yeah. Maybe even if you just have a friend who's like not going to the game but does have a boat, and they're just willing to like, I'm gonna, find you somewhere on the North Branch, and I'm gonna hop in your boat, and you're gonna drop me at the game, and then you're gonna go home.
Or you could just tow my kayak so I'm not going back upstream after an extra time loss. Mad.
Yeah.
Achy.
That's true. Because the truth is, when you get those wins of things like a stadium, doesn't mean you're gonna be good. Yeah. Luckily, the team is good now.
Pieces, yeah. I think they've got the pieces in place. The stadium here could be pretty cool until it all kind of unraveled at that last night in Bridgeview. It was looking like this might have been a special season itself.
Yeah, and technically speaking, it was. I think it was a really good season for the Fire. Fantastic. I'm a big Fire fan. Well, I always will be. I think like the difference between watching this team play in like late September, early October versus every single year since I've known about the team, basically, it was pretty drastic. And it was just like, oh no, this is fun to watch. And when we score goals and like goals are being scored by young Chicagoans.
Yeah.
Like that feeling is so cool, and it's not something we've really gotten from them before. We really skipped ahead to the fire there.
I'm sorry.
Because it's impossible not to with your.
If I may add one more thing,
yeah.
As much as I enjoy young Chicagoans and homegrown products,
yeah,
only slightly less do I like handsome men from Denmark absolutely shredding the attack in a way that we haven't seen in years.
It's true. It was
10 years.
It's unbelievable. And that's the thing is he was, he's one of 3 really good forward players now, but watching a dude who's like that confident, just like taking players out and dribbling and like, being so like the hair and the beard and the whole thing. He like fits a Chicago athlete in a really good way that I like. Yeah. I'm just like, you've faced winters before. Like I trust you to survive here.
He seems like one of those annoyingly competent people who's probably like really good at your hobby. Like he bakes amazing sourdough or he kicks ass at Settlers of Catan or something.
Yeah, exactly. He's like one of those people that walks into the mall, there's a piano there, and he's just like, oh, let's see what I can do. And it's like Rachmaninoff or something. Did he do piano? I don't know. Anyway, let's get back to your time working at with Joe Mansueto. Yes. So you're working in content marketing. Yes. For Morningstar. Yeah.
Financial content, product content, nothing you'd be super excited about. I liked it though. It was a good company to work for. And frankly, my journalism before that had been 7 years of doing medical focused journalism. Yeah. During the implementation of the Affordable Care Act. And I don't know if you've ever worked for a board of doctors who think that they might have to work more than 3.5 days a week to keep making the same 6 figures. Like, oof, heady times.
Yeah,
tense.
I can only imagine.
The financial thing was like, wait, now we can say it's about the money? Like, yeah, all right.
I'm allowed to say the word money? You got to be kidding me. That's awesome. So what was the... how long were you there for? How long were you doing that?
I was there for 4 years before the job at Revolution opened up, and I would have stayed at Morningstar, until today, but had a chance to try something new and, like moved over.
Yeah. So what was what was your specific role at Revolution? I remember when, we sort of, I think, met through that when I was still at the Fire and had some conversations then. At the brew pub, we started doing stuff there, I think. What was your role there, and what was that like work like for?
I was the communications manager when I came in. When I left this last January, I was a director of communications. It's kind of everything. Add a pandemic on top of that, and it became actually everything. Where like and this was the part of the pandemic that just like, I know we all had the things that killed us, but the thing that annoyed the crap out of me was having to re-record the voicemail greeting, the phone tree greeting every time like hours changed or there was new public health guidance or whatever.
Yeah.
And like, first of all, I don't know if I hate anything more than hearing the sound of my own voice like recorded and played back to me. Like I'm fine with it coming out of my big head because you've talked to me before. But it was something about recording this, and I'd always like screw up a word or I would do something. And then I'd be done with that. I'd get on my computer and you just go and answer the DMs and questions from the people who didn't call the phone or look at the website. And
a little repetitive.
Yeah, imagine you're just a block of Parmesan being shredded away by the inattentiveness of people day to day.
Just gradually shifting around.
But existentially thinking these people are the reason I'm one of 2 communications or marketing professionals left in the entire company right now.
Yeah. AI hadn't quite hit to be able to respond to those things yet.
Yeah. And it's still not great. I don't know when you're watching this.
Yeah, fair. Cool. So you left in January, you said.
Yes, and I'm sorry. I did. You asked me what I did, and I complained about one thing really hard, which is what I'm good at. Social media, chip in on beer names, wrote the beer descriptions, website, press releases, anything with like words. They'd be like, words guy.
Yeah.
We did TikTok and Instagram. I survived 2 different pivots to video, and I loved it. A lot of great people. I met a lot of the organizations that I support through Crust Fund there. But I gotta tell you, after I left, I got rid of all my social media except for the Instagram I used to hawk the pizzas, and it was amazing.
Yeah.
Like, do you remember those old Davidoff Cool Water commercials from the 90s with incredibly attractive people looking very satisfied, like coming out of these Tuscan waters?
Correct.
Felt like that.
Yeah.
Except I was just deleting Twitter.
Yeah. I mean, I can imagine. I don't use all the social media that I do still have, and I've sort of, quiet quit some things more so than fully deleting them. But I will say that there's nothing really better than just like removing areas of potential interactive anxiety. And Twitter's got to be the like biggest source of that in the world.
Couldn't tell you anymore.
Yeah, good for you, man.
I mean, yeah, I don't know if this is a digital insight so much as it's me being accurately middle-aged, but like sometimes you don't have to care about things.
Yeah, you can. It's true. I do also recognize that the older I get, my sense of like meh.
Yeah,
I have that response to way more things than I used to, where I used to sort of like, in hindsight, I now think of myself, it was like a little bit like obnoxiously curious about everything, to the point where like even well into my late 20s, I'm like, well, what about this or this? And now I'm just sort of like, oh, shut up. Just like, who cares? Cool. Yeah. And I'm a big fan of beer. I think in the Midwest, pizza and beer go pretty hand in hand. So I'm sure, like you said, you met a lot of people that you worked with later on in the pizza world at Revolution. Do you still sort of collaborate with other like beer or breweries or local, craft kind of other drink places like that still through Crust Fund?
Yeah. I did one of the last things I did last year was vegan pizza at Half Acre. They let me take over their kitchen on a night they were out.
Yeah.
And oh my gosh, you market something to vegans in this town specifically and you do it right, like it's wild. I brought enough food for, I want to say it was like 350 people, and 2 hours into service, I'm walking the line just apologizing to everyone because we ran out of food. Like, and as a Midwestern person, that was just like putting the dagger in my own heart.
Yeah, gut wrenching.
I also Jude from Hot Butcher for the World, just over here on Lincoln. I'm pointing like the people watching this. So like, yes, the cardinal directions.
Yeah, you know where we're facing. Right
but Jude at Hot Butcher for the World, and Jeremiah, two great guys, and like we're probably gonna do something before too long. We talked about doing something over the summer, but they're like right in town. They've still got that old Half Acre kitchen, and I'm just sitting there right now.
Yeah. Of course. Look at that. That's the one on Lincoln, you said, right? Mm-hmm. Yeah, I remember that. I remember when they opened the Balmoral space, Half Acre did. They were a sponsor of ours a few years ago.
I've got the sleeve patch on one.
Yeah. We're hoping that we can rekindle that relationship at some point in the future. So I hope you're listening, Half Acre. But I love that space on Balmoral, and I loved the space on Lincoln. So I'm glad that is that space open for Hot Butcher?
Yeah, the tap room is there. It looks familiar. Not like the barn wall is gone.
Yeah,
they've made it a little bit their own, but they were like they didn't fix what wasn't broken.
Yeah, that's important because that was a really nice space. Because Half Acre's space up there is just north of it's like between Winnemac and us on the little Rose Hill elbow.
Yes, right by. Sorry if I'm being creepy, but right by former sponsor Temple Steel. No,
correct, absolutely not creepy at all. We still love Temple Steel. They make amazing industrial magnetic products.
I don't buy my industrial magnetic products from anyone else.
No, I don't either. I never have actually. So let's I imagine we're probably getting into the world where we're going to talk like exclusively about pizza very intensely until we shift a little more into soccer. Is there any other part of like Chicago food culture that really like that you just love, or like, because of course that's a dumb question.
Italian beef, man. Italian beef. I didn't like, I was such a, poorly traveled meatball child, that I didn't know when I went to college in Knoxville that Italian beef wasn't a thing outside of the greater Chicago area, to the point where I was just making conversation with somebody in the first week, and it was like, oh yeah, Knoxville, where's a good Italian beef around here? And they're like, what's Italian beef? And I said, like the beef sandwich, the juice, the peppers. they're like, you mean like a roast beef sandwich with peppers? And it was like that moment in Twilight Zone where Burgess Meredith sits on his glasses, and I'm like, oh no.
Yeah suddenly.
My mom and her sisters used to go to the different family weddings and make Italian beef for all the different cousins to stretch out the catering budget, like big Catholic family, regular Catholic wedding budget. And they would like, I grew up with it. It was just such a thing that was just always around that I didn't really understand it. until we were watching the first season of The Bear, me and my wife, and I was doing that annoying thing you do where you like point at something on a TV show that they're not doing right.
Right.
And I was like,
So that's the brown line, not the blue line.
She's like, first of all, shut up. But like, why do you know that? And I was like, why do I know that? And then like this whole thing came back, right? And I'm like a magpie, so I'm like, wait a minute. And I like went up to the attic. I got my cousin's 1994 like wedding program, right? Because in my family they do the food and then they'd print the recipes like after the readings and stuff. And I'm like, no shit, I still have this. So I was
Italian beef
I recovered
sandwich recipe.
Yeah.
Oh my.
So
God.
I recovered all these memories. Like all at once, like Rashomon style. And
just a flood of images.
Found the recipe that it had apparently made it with me like state to state to state to state. And then I ended up recreating it for this website I was freelancing for at the time, The Takeout, and it was like the most popular article of the year because the bear fever.
And gotta ride that wave.
Yeah, I did. I've done it, a few times. It's delicious. It's perfect. I just came back from a consulting trip in the Middle East where they likewise have no conception of Italian beef. Did it over there. Everyone loved it. I'm like, well, this is the food that we bring to the world, and all it took was a bunch of suspiciously handsome character actors screaming at each other for hours.
Everyone got curious all over the world. They're like, it must be a great sandwich if they're this passionate about it.
I own a way too big, way too expensive deli slicer at home specifically because I need to slice the beef so that you can kind of read through it.
Yeah. Translucent.
Right.
Not transparent.
Call it stained glass.
Yeah, exactly. The stained glass of meats. What's your go-to local Italian beef place?
Okay, so this is the worst answer, right? Because I'm like, you're not gonna go to Navy Pier.
Yeah.
There is this old dude Mario there. He retired. He decided he didn't like to be retired. He rented this little stall on the corner of that jog of like all the different restaurants inside Navy Pier.
Yeah. I just went through there.
You'll be looking for it and miss it the first time because it's a teeny little place. But he's making and slicing his own beef. He's getting his own rolls baked in Canada to like recreate the kind of thing he was chasing as a kid. It is what and honestly, I know, like, no. First of all, not everyone loves James Buffett like I do. So you might not be going there for Margaritaville. People don't want to like that. We have McDonald's, whatever. But like, you go to Ciccio Beef on Navy Pier, like
Ciccio Beef.
It's delicious and it's completely unique. Like, Al's great, Mr. Beef, whatever. But like, most of those locations are just getting a vac-packed bag of beef and then a big old ice cube of gravy. And like, it's production intensive. Not everyone's going to do it by scratch, but you want to try a guy doing it from scratch. You go to the original Mr. Beef. You go see Mario out on Navy Pier, and then you ride a Ferris wheel. I've never ridden a Ferris wheel redolent of beef before he opened.
Yeah.
Now it's just a summer Tuesday.
So I gotta get my beef, and then maybe I'll hit the Ferris wheel if I have time. I found out a fun fact recently that the Ferris wheel's design, before it came to the World's Fair here, was based on a mill that was built in upstate New York near where my mom lives, that had a mill wheel that was essentially like one of the first center pin, like complex multi-arm wheels of its kind to generate enough force to drill into this mountain or something. And I guess the guy who designed Ferris, Mr. Ferris, he saw this mill in upstate New York and was like, bet I can fucking put people on something like that.
I love it just between that and like the Sears Tower. It's like how many architectural innovations locally have come from people just kind of staring at shit for a minute.
Yeah.
Like, pack of cigarettes, skyscraper.
Yeah, it's like, that one's kind of sticking up a little higher than the rest. That's interesting. It's true. Yeah. But yeah, fun fact. I went to Navy Pier recently to go to Chicago Shakespeare Theater and see Paranormal Activity live on stage.
That was at the Chicago Shakespeare?
It was.
That's fun.
It was insane. We're not sponsored by this theater company. I run a different theater company. This is one of the scariest things I've ever seen in my life, and it was so much fun. But I took the maze through the inside with all the vendors, and I definitely did not spot that guy. So next time I'll go there looking for him.
It's good. I can't speak to the rest of the menu because I can't tear myself away from the OG beef, but
Yeah.
Now that you mention it, I went to the Evil Dead show at, I think it was the Chicago theater, where if you get in the first few rows, they absolutely like hose you with blood.
Yeah, Gallagher style.
Yeah,
Nice.
I wrote up a quick review for New City, and I'm like, all right, pretty good show. Like, not great, pretty good.
Yeah.
And then like my buddy just texted me in the morning, and Chris Jones from the Trib had just like wrote this like complete pan, and I'm like, well, you should have sat in the blood row, Chris.
Yeah, clearly. Yeah, he you know, Chris Jones is a very, very well established, for those who aren't theater heads like us two, Tribune critic, very well established guy. Doesn't like me personally that much as I, feel like I've deserved from him over the years, frankly, but that's okay. I don't do that too much anymore. So, and I'm over it. Like I'm over Sorry,
I'm not bothered at all.
No. I'm clearly very calm about the whole thing still to this day. Anyway, where was I? Our place locally in Edgewater is Patio Beef, which is
Patio Beef is a classic place. Even just the sign at night, if I've been away from home for long enough, like, is a comforting thing.
It is. And it does have also, it's a similar kind of, like you were mentioning the yellow earlier of the water taxi, but it's like that sort of faded yellow. It's like very clearly not been touched up in the last 50 years or so. I love that place. That's where I go to get a gyro. I'm like a gyro guy when I go to a place like that.
Yeah, those are great too. They make them all like in the suburbs, like for the entire country.
Yeah. Is it Kronos?
Kronos, and they just bought someone. There's like 3 companies, there used to be.
Yeah.
2 of them, I think, merged. I tried to do a story on it for Serious Eats way back in the day, and you know who doesn't really talk to the press? Any of the gyro companies.
Yeah, I guess that doesn't totally surprise me. The people that make giant
meat cones.
Yeah, giant cones of meat of some kind. Yeah, they're not letting you in to look around the factory.
The Greeks are known for hospitality, but maybe not cone forthrightness.
Yes, perhaps. We're going to take a quick break here, and then we're going to come back and talk more specifically about Crust Fund Pizza and Chicago sports in general, and move a little bit into your experience with soccer and how we're going to be having a World Cup coming. But it's been an awesome conversation so far. Thank you so much for being here. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for joining us so far. We will be right back after these messages from our sponsors. Thank you so much. Talk soon.
Acorns makes it easy to start investing for you, your kids, and your retirement. Now, they want to make it easy to attend Edgewater Castle FC matches. Get 2026 season tickets when you sign up and start investing today at acorns.com/ECFC. Investment advisory products and services offered by Acorns Advisors, LLC, an SEC-registered investment advisor.
Eight years ago, we were just an idea, a distant dream for togetherness, joy, and triumph. We did not inherit a dynasty. We did not arrive with airdropped riches and fanfare. We began with a foundation of belief and a shared commitment to build something. Something authentic, something necessary. We're building this club the only way we know how. Stone by stone, brick by brick, goal after goal after goal. Now the foundation is set. The structure's sound. We can hear the music of the side streets and the rhythm of Lake Michigan as we give our community more Chicago to root for. Which is why we're proud to announce, for the 2026 season, Edgewater Castle Football Club officially enters the national stage, USL League 2 and USLW League. We built together. Now we climb together. Onward and upward, always.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Stone by Stone. I'm still your host, Andrew Swanson, and I'm still thrilled to be joined by our guest, John Carruthers. John, thank you for not leaving during the break. I appreciate that very much.
Well, the door's locked from the outside.
Yeah, I know, but that's beside the point. Either way, we're going to get back into talking about our favorite shape of slice.
Mm-hmm.
We're going to start talking about the tavern-style pizza, and more specifically your little baby, Crust Fund Pizza.
Mm-hmm.
So tell us about the sort of genesis of this. How did this start to form as an idea in your head that A, pizza was something you were going to like get really into? Let's start there. When did that happen?
Sure. So I had been like complementary to a lot of the journalism, like doing food writing and recipe development and everything. And I had done pizza, New York, Detroit, kind of everything. But I don't know if you remember this, but we had to stay home for 2 weeks once, right? The public health thing.
Yeah,
just 2 weeks.
It's like
so anyway,
2020
as that dragged on, it was either focus on something or start scratching hash marks in the wall of like I was like Two-Face in Arkham, right?
Of course.
So we did pizza instead. We did pizza and a movie every Friday because like we don't watch TV when we eat dinner. So like it was a special to do that too.
Nice.
And then we have pizza. So we just started doing it every week. I don't know if you remember, we were home for a little while.
Yeah.
And eventually it got to the point where we were in summer 2020. And that was a bummer for entirely non-pandemic related reasons. And, like there was a feeling of general malaise to me. Like there's all these important things happening. There's all these very generational examinations of the structures of power and governance and civil rights happening, in a city, with a long history of those discussions.
Yeah.
And I'm just kind of sitting at home buying flour by the 50-pound sack. Cause that's all I do. I'm not a community organizer.
Yeah.
I had 2 kids to take care of. I had brand tweets to craft.
Right.
But it seemed like a cop-out to not try to help with anything. So I figured, if the only thing that I've been doing at a high level that's like safe for me to do is to make pizza and yoink it off to someone in an alley.
Yeah.
We'll do that. And I would pick, a different organization, starting with the ones that I knew through Revolution, but also some of the ones that really mean a lot to me. Like nonprofit journalism is a big part of what Crust supports because like, especially now, nonprofit journalism, non-corporate journalism is just like one of our very most important lifelines.
Yeah.
So from there, we took just a different cause every month. It started in August 2020. That first one was The Tribe, which at the time was a Black-owned nonprofit newsroom, is now an independent media company doing great. Block Club, the Chicago Reader, but then also places like I would drive by the Friendship Center food pantry not far from here and see that even in Lincoln Square, a place known for being sleepy and well off, like there's people all around the block who are hungry, or even maybe just need the social connection of like having a visit. So we do that. Domestic violence was a big issue during 2020 because it's hard to go somewhere where everyone's closed and you need help. So connections for abused women and their children. Like I've never come to a pizza drop with pizza and a menu set and no idea of how it can help. Like I have got a backlog, man. It's a good thing to have, in a sense.
Yeah. I mean, I think it's just one of those things that is very admirable, obviously, for like doing something with something as like universally beloved as pizza is such a great thing because just having the word pizza associated with your organization, like everyone loves pizza. But also the fact that you spoke to that sense of kind of helplessness or like, I don't have anything important enough to contribute to participate. And like that sense that I think I experienced too in 2020. I was working for the Fire at the time. We were about to have a 65,000 seat sellout Soldier Field introduction to the city. Yeah, wearing our new Navy jerseys.
The Fire red.
Yeah, no, I know. It was a different time. It was a difficult time. But all that is to say, we were all feeling pretty like helpless and like, what can I do if I'm not, like you said, if I'm not like a community organizer and can't go out there and like create protests and do those things, what can I do actively outside of just participation? And like, what can I bring to problems to help solve them? So I really admired that the whole time because it's always felt like something that is a very simple, not a ton of hands need to be like involved in it necessarily for it to work. And you've raised so much money for people. How much money have you raised for nonprofits now?
It's 100. I want to say like 105, 106,000 since we started.
So triple digis.
Yeah,
We're working
it's
with
a big
triple
one.
digis. That's pretty impressive. And I think like, again, just such a real, like, what an awesome way to use the thing that you got really good at during the pandemic to help. You know, I love that sense of like discovering something then just becomes something that I'm assuming gives you some sense of like joy and community and all that stuff too, right?
Yeah.
And also is like genuinely having an impact with the resources that people need. So good job. I think it's cool. Way to go with that. What's your favorite? Do you have a favorite pizza you've ever made?
The favorite pizzas are all named in a way that makes people mad at the name of the pizza.
Okay.
Like, I like to start with a bad name and then work backwards from it.
Yeah,
right?
yeah. A little reverse psychology.
But if we're talking just straight down the pipe, the thing I sell the most of, non-joke name, the Royco. It's sausage and giardiniera. I make the sausage myself. It's probably like 40% of what I sell. And then I do a rotating special every month.
Right.
And that's where I get the dumb names.
Got it. Yeah.
Like, all I need is a miracle. All I need is shoe was a gym shoe. This collab I just did with Giordano's Millennium Pork. Like stuff like that. Things where it's like, that's dumb. Okay. Like,
yeah, you know, I will bid on that.
Those are my favorite names.
Yeah.
But, you know, like the Euro pizza is always a good one.
Yeah.
Anything like, you know, with my, you know, my wife's family's like Cuban dishes is great. You know, put tostones on a pizza for the New York Times and they liked it.
Yeah, nice.
Yeah, it's a night, like, tavern pizza is thin enough and like easy enough to where you can get a bite of everything on something. You can vary it up and not have any one thing take over the pizza. So you can go in all sorts of different directions.
Yeah, it is a really amazing kind of like I maybe read this somewhere that you sort of describe it as like a canvas for a lot of different flavors that can be a part of a tavern style pizza, because it's almost like just barely bigger than a cracker. Each one of these little squares is just like, you know, you can decide how much you want to eat of it because they start so small. Do you have like, you obviously love tavern style the most, I assume. It's your favorite kind of pizza. How do you rank the other pizzas out there, styles wise?
Love all the pizzas.
Yeah.
I make Detroit pizza like a lot because I find it very fun and compelling. And a buddy of mine in Philadelphia, Mike Carter, he came out with a cookbook, I don't want to say it was last summer, and their shop's thing is like they hire all formerly incarcerated folks. Like, it's a pizza place doing amazing stuff in Philadelphia, but he does the same thing where he'll just take a flavor, an idea, and spin it out, and it's like such a great read. Like, that's the part of being real deep into this rabbit hole, is like when I'm not making pizza, it's like I'm like reading about it or thinking about it or eating something else, thinking about like, how would this be a good pizza?
Yeah.
So, you know, Detroit's up there. I like New York style. Like, I make a good New York pizza that no one ever asks for. I really like Quad City style.
I don't know what that is.
So I use malt syrup in the crust.
Okay.
It's cut into strips, which I don't usually do. But like, if you ever go to Iowa and have that like taco pizza, like the Quad Cities pizzerias were the ones kind of doing that style.
You mean like lettuce and like that?
They don't all put lettuce, but yeah, like ground beef, cheddar,
Yeah.
Doritos, taco trips on top, taco sauce. Yeah, I like Quad Cities a lot, and I think that a lot more people would. The only representation I know of locally, and I'm probably wrong, but like Roots, which used to have a few locations, is Quad City style. But you know, it's like, well, if you don't like this one restaurant, I don't know what else to tell you.
Yeah, no, that's fair. I do recognize that Roots had like a different, like the crust is different.
Yeah,
is that it?
It's the biggest part. Yeah, like that malt syrup, it makes it a little chewier. It makes it a little sweeter.
Yeah.
I like Neapolitan pizza. Like, we're right by Spaccanapoli, like one of like the world famous places for people doing Neapolitan style pizza. I make it like usually a couple times a summer when I want to not start the oven in the house.
Yeah.
But you know, like my kids always ask to go back to tavern style before too long.
Yeah, of course.
Also, you can't really
raised them right. You know, they love their dad. So
you say that, but we have pineapple more weeks than not for them.
Yeah, fair enough. That's fine. We already discussed Hawaii, so it's a common desire ancestrally.
Yes, they're paying homage to that one job I had right out of college.
Exactly, your ancestral roots in Hawaii. Great. So, what's next for the plan? Like in terms of what Crust Fun is it basically like we're gonna keep doing this forever?
That's adorable that you said the plan. Like that's a thing. No, I don't know. I want to just keep doing this. People will get sick of me one day, but until then, I want to take all of their money or as much as I can and kind of shove it out towards places feeding people and clothing people and advocating for people, for God's sakes. I just, at this point, I can never figure out what's going to happen next.
Yeah.
In 2022, I got to do Chopped. The year after that, the New York Times came out to the kitchen. This year, I made so many pizzas that I looked up and I was making one in Kuwait City. Like, I could not begin to tell you what's next.
Yeah.
But that's the fun of it, right?
Yeah.
And I know that I still can market every Friday with a pizza with the family. We eat an ungodly amount of pizza in the house, and like that will stay.
Yeah, that's amazing. I'm very happy to hear it. I've personally started making pizzas this past year. I admit I just like go buy the dough at Whole Foods and I make their dough into pizza and I make pizza. But
you're making your own pizza, man.
Do you have like any tips that you give making pizza at home for people that haven't done it a lot before?
Yeah. Get baking steel, not a stone, because you can use it for bread or bagels or whatever else.
Yeah.
And then other than that, just have patience with yourself. Like, have a little grace. The first night you plan your pizza party, like bake, don't be like, we're all having pizza tonight, because there's a very good chance you mess it up.
Yeah.
And you're not going to want to eat this horrible ovoid charred football you just pulled out of the uni.
Correct.
You don't want to be frustrated with that. You got to be like, don't worry, I've already got 3 molten pizza pockets from the Euro place down the street.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, people ask all the time, like, I'm happy to answer anyone's questions on like recipe or procedures, but like the one thing I can't tell them is how do you make it round? And I'm like, you kind of have to make them until you start making them round, and then you know what it feels like. Like, there's probably like better people at this probably have a better answer, but it's just practice. And if you don't like it, just don't do it. And if you really like it, just try not to talk about it too much to family and friends, because you're going to be that guy.
Yeah, of course. I've never made it round. I've done a few footballs. I've done some, like, essentially I've got a square pan, and I've now gotten to the point where I can like make a square pizza.
Yeah, pan pizza is a good idea. Like, but yeah, if you're going freeform, you just got to be ready for a few Greenlands before you're.
Yeah. I'm gonna have a couple Irelands in there.
Yeah.
Fair enough. So, what's your relationship to?
Wait, the troubles with dough. Is that anything?
The troubles with dough. That's good. There's something there. We only offended, I think, probably like 2% of our listening audience, which is mostly Pat Whalen.
It's okay. I did the 23andMe, and I'm sure that there's nothing that Irish people tolerate as much as vaguely Irish American people commenting
how
on a
hard
foundational
it was for them. Yeah, of course.
I'm fine.
Yeah,
no. I'm not bad at all.
No, me neither. So you've been a Chicago sports fan for a long time.
Yes, unfortunately.
Yeah, and it's like as you know, this is sort of where I'm going. Like, there is a bit of a tendency for Chicago sports fans to have some like chip missing on the shoulder sometimes, right? Occasionally, about how hard it is to see teams be mediocre or worse for long periods of time. In Chicago, in soccer specifically, that's been sort of a thing for a long time. We talked about this a little bit earlier off mic, but the Fire have had a pretty rough, long span of time over the last 10 to 12 to 15 years or so. But this past season was different.
Oh, so much different.
It was really fun, and it was really like exciting to see enthusiasm, right?
Yeah.
There was that sense of enthusiasm, even at games where the weather wasn't great. Like you mentioned Philip Zinkernagel earlier in the pod, and like what a difference the vibe is when you're just like, oh man, we could win this game.
Yeah. Or like if they shut down our best player, we got another guy.
You got to be kidding me. We got another guy? No way. Yeah. And so what's your sort of experience been watching soccer in Chicago, as a fan of the Fire and as a fan of sports in general? Like, I'm just curious to hear your perspective, because you're sort of you to me seem like a person who encapsulates all the different parts of Chicago sports. Like you
Oh, yeah.
really love it all.
It can be a meatball about any of them.
Yeah.
Like, to the point where it's the rivalry games I look forward to the least. Like,
Yeah.
I'm not sure if I actually enjoyed any of the Hawks Red Wings games because I hated the Red Wings so much.
Yeah.
But I came specifically to the Fire. I picked up soccer in college through FIFA.
Yeah.
Because like that was just wildly addictive. I lived in a
Same,
big
yeah.
house with other guys, and like we could just play. You could influence a game. We'd play over the local network, and if someone was just getting the best of you, you could run down to the other room and you could punch him.
Yeah,
Like,
of course.
if the ball gets kicked in during that time, like, ooh, sorry.
What are you gonna do?
But so like FIFA, right? And then you kind of pick a European team that you can generally pirate, which used to be easier. And so like big, extremely pale Catholic meatball from here. I was watching Celtic.
Yeah.
Like in the Henrik Larsson days,
Oh,
yeah, like
of course.
when they would sometimes send guys to really great teams instead of just getting like the washouts.
Yeah.
They were getting those too. Massimo Donati from Serie A came
Okay.
there.
Yeah. Larson was a huge player. Though.
Larson was amazing.
Sweden. Yeah.
He almost single-handedly won the Europa Cup for them that one year. The cheating ass Porto. Anyway, but I wasn't. I was like, I think like a lot of people start like a bit of a snob towards the established leagues. I'm like, I don't know about the Fire thing.
Yeah.
But Celtic was actually on an American tour that summer, and I had followed the Fire during '98 because it was brand new and I was pretty jazzed off, the World Cup a few years earlier. Like, I swear to God, and none of them will admit to it, but my dad and uncles were all watching the Italy-Brazil final, like wrapped on the big projection screen TV. Anyway, get to finally Celtics coming on. Maybe I can actively engage as a Fire fan and not just remember that time that they inexplicably won in their first year. And so I'm going, I got my like Celtic shirt on, and I'm sitting in the section, and I'm like watching it. The game's cool. It's fun. Both teams are playing like their players. Like the Fire, I think, had just signed Blanco and even brought him on for, I think, at least a cameo.
Yeah.
And I'm like watching the Section 8 supporters group, down at the end, and I'm like, holy shit, they are so loud for this exhibition game.
Yeah.
That's really just selling tickets to a bunch of potato-faced, people. And I was like, this seems really fun. This seems really amazing. And I bought tickets like as soon as we got home to the next Fire home match in the section. And I was just like hooked from there.
Yeah.
I mean, and getting to watch, Blanco play for your team after hating him for so long as a U.S. fan, it was wild.
Yeah.
It's like when like The Rock would come in or someone would come in to the ring and like help out Stone Cold. You're like, I can like this guy too.
Wait, what?
Yeah. So like, this is face turn from a heel, and like those teams, he was clearly in a different level. Like MLS is doing great now, but like back then, sometimes it'd be like, oh, we got this guy. He's 38. He once scored 6 goals for Man City. Like 8 years ago, and like the offense, the creativity wasn't always there. But like Blanco, even on like the back half of his career, I mean, it was like very exciting to watch. Like just very interesting, and like just a shithouse guy, like who really kind of awakened my mind to the dark arts of that kind of game.
Yeah, of course.
And like they came so close so many times, and the only time I have ever raised my hands to another human being was that was it the 2010 final? It was the conference final against Salt Lake. And like this game is going back and forth, and it is tense, right?
Yeah.
And some a-holes up Section 8 are like flicking quarters and nickels at people, and instead of say, go get security or ask them nicely, I turned around and I said, "Stop it!" And they made that sneery face, like that teenager face, like And so I sprinted up several rows, and the next thing I knew, they were telling me how I wasn't going to be under arrest, but they would need to see my ID and I would be banned from Toyota Park. However, I pulled it together. I think they'd pulled a lot of drunks out of the stands that day.
Yeah,
and I was on hams, which is basically water.
Yeah.
And
just hydrating yourself.
I was telling them about what happened, and I'm like, and I know it was, very, I apologize to a lot of nuns and priests as a Catholic school educator. I know this was very wrong of me. in a better world, a more level head would have contacted
world,
you that you could have done this. And then I saw the two. They had me by each arm, and and they looked over at each other, and they're like, and they're like, look, if we cut you loose, like, we got other people to deal with. Like, you're not gonna go run back to the section. No, you go check those guys out, and you like grab them.
Yeah.
I'm like, I'll go to that end over there and watch the rest of the game here. And so I might be the only person to ever successfully de-escalate Monterey security.
Incredible. I mean, that deserves a medal of its own.
But even then, you know, that heartbreaking, and this Fire did the thing where they subbed in, and I'm fine with the guy, but like they sub in Mike Banner specifically for penalty kicks, and he's the one who misses the kick, and you're like, oh. And then Salt Lake, you know, Salt Lake was a favorite against us. Then they win the cup, you know, in another upset, and I'm like, that was the year, man.
That was it.
They kept getting close, and then, you know, then there was the fall off, and then eventually, like, we're just paying DPs who probably shouldn't be playing.
No.
And then
it was bad.
The darkness and the navy blue, and I don't know if karmically I started something that night in the stands. I'm glad that we're out of it.
Yeah, man. I don't know if it was your fault, but there has been a curse that's lasted quite a long time. Have you been to any other like U.S. games? You've been to any like national team games or been involved in that fandom at all?
The last time I was at yes, I made sure to take. So my kid, my 10-year-old she's very into soccer. My son not so much, but I've taken him to games. But she just happened to be like walking by when I was watching the Argentina-France Cup final. She's like, "What are you watching?" And I'm like, "Soccer." I'm like, my wife, not a soccer fan. Yeah, doesn't do it. I used to drag her to games. She's done her service.
I'm familiar with that.
And I'm like, you're not gonna like soccer, kid. And I'm not being sexist. This is genetic.
Yeah.
But she just sits and I was telling her who these people are, and she's sitting with me. I'm like, all right, she's gonna be 5 minutes, 10 minutes. But she happens to watch like one of the greatest games of soccer ever played.
Shit. Yeah.
And missed like large portions where it looked like it was just going to be an Argentina walk away.
Yep.
And like after that, she was like right?
Yeah.
So I've taken her to see the Red Stars. I will always call them the Red Stars.
Yes, of course.
I've taken them to see Megan Rapinoe's last game at Soldier Field, the exhibition against South Africa. Yeah. I've taken my brother-in-law to see, I think the last U.S. game we saw was when they played Jamaica at Soldier Field.
Yeah.
I don't know if that was a Gold Cup game or just maybe like a group stage game.
That was like 2 years ago.
But like we had great seats, and we saw Matt Turner save a penalty right in front of us. So it was amazing. So yes, I love the U.S. Like I remember totally selling myself out at work. It was at that journalism job when Donovan scored that goal against Algeria.
Yeah, of course.
And I'm like, everybody, this is the most conservative workspace. Like gray cubicles, gray lunches.
Yeah,
you know, just like business. And I'm sitting there in my khakis, like ignoring
basketball
all over
is
the work.
too un-American for these people.
Yeah. Like, and then I was just like, you know, and it looks like Dempsey's saved. I'm like, oh no! And then it just like it all happens before I have time to react. I'm just like, ah! And then like luckily my boss is like, yeah, it does seem like a
You're just getting that look from across the room from everyone.
Oh my god, that was one of the coolest moments. And then, you know, it's just like we used up all the gas in the tank against Ghana, but I was listening to that. I don't know how I got stuck on an airport trip, but I was circling Midway waiting for a flight to come in, like just having my heart torn out via AM radio.
How do you look at the next World Cup? I mean, you mentioned already 94, and someone said on the last pod we did that it feels like we're still kind of riding on the last fumes of 94. Like that's...
Oh, I don't know. I mean, maybe it's just sending my kids to school in the city as opposed to going to my school as a kid, in McHenry County. But like these kids are super engaged in soccer in a way that we never were.
That's true. And I guess that's what I mean though, is that like the impact that had on now is like still being felt.
Oh yeah. But I wouldn't call it fumes. I was like,
yeah. But with the reason I say fumes is that like we got another one coming right now.
Yeah. So, like, I don't know. Like I was originally mad that Chicago didn't bid for it.
Yeah.
And there's plenty of reasons for that.
Correct.
But I was originally mad that I couldn't go. And then I looked at the prices and I was like, well, I guess I still couldn't go.
It doesn't really matter where it is.
So that I kind of hate. Yeah. I feel like this is going to be like monetized for an inch of its life.
Yeah.
But I don't know, man. Like combining this and the almost certain baseball work stoppage, like we might be seeing sort of a generational shift in like how kids just kind of engage with sports. Like
That's true.
they're already wearing Mbappe jerseys to school, and it's like, what, you're gonna tell them that they can't watch Mike Trout slowly decay for, as long as it takes the owners to pull their heads out of their asses? Like, maybe we watch the thing that's literally on all year.
Yeah, that like is, there are hundreds of games per day, every day, all over the world.
Do you know what I love about soccer? It's that thing I was talking about earlier. Like, I get too into my teams, right?
Yeah.
I get too into it. Like, when the Bears and the Packers play, I am a wreck.
Yeah.
When
emotionally manipulated.
Yeah, like when the Hawks were in those World Cup or with the Stanley Cup finals, like I was living and dying every night. Like I was sweating in place watching these.
Yeah.
Like like Philadelphia Flyers, who I always thought were fine, are now my like most hated enemy. I'm reading the opposing team's message boards just to foment hate in my heart.
Yeah.
And with soccer, I can go watch like a game in the Bundesliga. I can go watch any team in the Premier League. And like, I can never be a fan of those teams in the way that I'm a fan, bone deep of Chicago sports. But that's kind of great.
It is,
because I can enjoy the sport for what it is and appreciate a great game for as it's played. Yeah. And honestly, I'm just too much of a dick about like the Bears or the Bulls to fully do that.
Yeah, of course. That makes sense because like I think there's obviously a sense of place in sports brands and teams. And like it feels as though to me, soccer is still one that feels, especially in Chicago, that is such a like century or more old teams.
Yeah.
Right? Where like grandparents loved these same teams.
Yeah.
And so like that sense of community on a citywide scale the size of Chicago feels like soccer is a thing that is a few generations behind being like what's the word? Like intrinsic to Chicago culture.
Yeah.
Right? Whereas there are pockets of it obviously, and like clearly it's a global city and people from all over the world bring it with them, but it doesn't feel like the kind of thing that has yet gone from being like the, widespread sort of immigration diaspora from Europe and South America and everywhere, hasn't spread into like just Chicago pop culture as much as these other sports have. But I do feel like the World Cup coming this coming year, despite all its, FIFA-ness,
right?
We will see a lot more of that sense of like these global identities locally being like shown respect and given space to like celebrate and stuff like that, which I think is kind of cool.
And I even like the expanded field. I know everyone grumbles about how easy it's going to be, and like. We're never going to win the World Cup if like we only play Honduras. It's like we might just not ever win the World Cup. Most countries don't.
Yeah,
I think it's great. Like broaden the canvas, like bring in more communities. Like it's going to be a lot of fun. It's going to be great. I just absolutely need us to get out of the group stage.
It would be really great to see us win some games. And speaking of the Fire in the World Cup, watching the last World Cup, I thought Greg Berhalter did a pretty great job considering all that, things that went down there and how those games went. I think there's I'm asking you first. What do you think is going to be the most likely result for the U.S. in the World Cup this coming year?
I could see them riding the team they have, and the fact that Mauricio is a lot more, I think, adaptable in just kind of squad selection.
Yeah.
He's given guys looks who maybe wouldn't have gotten them, and kind of like kept some guys out and then brought them in, and like you could tell there's an overall plan there. I'm not saying there wasn't with Greg, but like we kind of had to live and die on like the health of a handful of players, and it feels less like that. I feel like we have more depth pieces.
Yeah.
So riding just an insane high of this, I would like to say they get out of the group. Win a knockout game, which is an incredible feeling because, man, I miss that feeling. And then we'll see from there.
Quarterfinals, you think they'll make it?
It would be fantastic.
It would be.
And honestly, even just going down in glorious flames, just Tim Howard making like 97 saves. Like I can deal with that kind of loss too.
Totally.
It's weird to be the underdog as the U.S. in sports, and I don't hate the feeling. It feels like there's something at stake. I don't get quite as jazzed up for the U.S. to hang a 70-point lead on name your country. Because it doesn't feel like there's stakes there until like maybe the final.
No, yeah.
Like the U.S. coming from behind, like as a soccer nation has always seemed very compelling to me. And that's why I can't understand like why people don't watch the national team. I can't understand if you're expecting something else, why the national team fans who are on message boards are so miserable all the time.
Yeah. And it is a thing. Like I think soccer internet is a very fascinating place.
Yeah.
There's often a lot of misery in there.
I don't think it's their fault, but they got, they were happy that Berhalter was gone because he wasn't a very good coach. And meanwhile, like he did the impossible. Yeah. He did the impossible home renovation.
The curse in Chicago sports.
So, he's well on the way. And I think that if they do well in this coming World Cup, like I think the groundwork that he did, the recruiting work he did, the professionalization, I think he'll finally get the credit for it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like, and even, Klinsmann, some old man needed to yell at a cloud to shake a few things loose.
Yeah,
like,
exactly.
Why can't we just celebrate the rich and developing history of U.S. soccer?
Yeah.
If we were a great soccer nation like Brazil or something, I feel like that's a constant state of anxiety.
Yeah, true. And expectation, right?
Yes.
Of like, there's nothing but the best. And if anything else, we're all going to be miserable as a nation. And like, it is a good thing. You mentioned this a little bit with like watching European soccer and like not necessarily having a team, but being able to enjoy it. Is that like, yeah, you have a slightly less intrinsically emotionally corrupted day based on a loss.
Right, exactly.
Well, cool, man. That's basically all the time we have. I just want to thank you so much for being here. You're an awesome dude. I love what you do with Crust Fun Pizza. Is there going to be one coming up that you can tell people anything about, or can they bid on some pizzas?
But you won't be.
Their pizzas are already.
They also can't eat the one that's in the kitchen in here.
No, so you're just right between the two.
It's TV magic, but keep an eye on my website's crustfunpizza.com. Keep an eye there. Follow the social, and I'll announce December before too long. I'm just shockingly not much of a planner.
Understood. Well, as a surprise for today and for coming on, I want to let you know that we are going to provide you with a couple of season tickets for this coming season of Edgewater Castle FC.
Oh, that's
we're
great.
Going to be we're your new neighborhood club. We're right down the road from you, so we're gonna provide you with those after the show. But again, thank you so much for being here, John. We really respect what you do.
Thank you for having me. What's your BYO pizza policy?
Well, we'll discuss that. Maybe we'll get you a little booth set up each game. Who knows? And then those tickets will turn into a real nightmare for you next summer. But
I'll finally make footy scran.
Goddamn right, you're gonna make footy scran if it's the last thing you do. Yeah, thanks again, John. We really appreciate it.
Appreciate it.
And folks, thank you so much for being here. This has been Stone by Stone. I've been Andrew Swanson. We've been joined by John Carruthers, and we will see you next time. Have a great rest of your day.